guys, welcome back to another Simone ASMR video. Today I have a borrowed story time, but I am going to tell you guys a story. I hope I can get through this video. I feel rushed already, but anyway. I recently watched a video about a certain type of scam that is going rampant in my home country, in Zimbabwe, and it is the marriage scam. Okay, so I am going to explain to you the process, the generic process on how to get married, a traditional Zimbabwean wedding, Zimbabwean marriage. It differs from culture to culture, and there are a lot of different cultures, but I'm gonna speak to the generic Shona culture. It's not clan specific, family specific, like detailed, just a broad generalization of what happens. Okay, so when a guy and a girl decide that they want to get married, they have to go talk to their paternal aunts. Okay, so that means your father's sister is who you go and speak with. And as a girl, I don't know if it's the same on the guy's side, but I know you speak to your paternal side of the family and you let them know you've met someone that you're interested in, and you introduce them to that family elder. And the purpose of that is just to kind of assess, like, are you guys really serious? Is this person a good person? And all that stuff. And you have some traditions of things you do: cook a meal, have somebody cook a meal for you, bring a gift, blah blah blah, very flexible and all that stuff. And then you kind of exchange gifts, typically an article of clothing showing that you are serious. So it's the same as maybe an engagement, the ring exchange, or something that shows that you're serious about getting married to this person. Okay, and then from that point, your family they find out about it. So it goes from your designated family member to the whole of the family. If you're a guy, everybody gets told. If you're a girl, everybody gets told. The guy's family's responsibility is to help come up with one delegation, right person to go and do the negotiation. The delegation for the negotiation for the guy's side is very small: a brother and an uncle, and that's it, you're off. Okay, and then on the girl's side, you are the ones who are receiving guests. So the rora itself is considered the first part of the marriage process, and then the kuperekwa, or the wedding celebration, is the second part of the marriage, but you have to do both. Okay, so the rora part, or the lobola part, or the dowry portion, puts a lot of pressure on the guy, but it is hosted by the girl's family. And then the kuperekwa, or the celebration, puts a lot of pressure on the girl, but it is hosted by the guy's family. It's a welcoming. So small delegation is put together, and then you negotiate dates for the negotiation itself, the dowry negotiation. I'm gonna call it rora, lobola, dowry as I go along. Okay, and what happens is the guy's family comes through and they start negotiating. Okay, there are certain parts, like there's literally a negotiation opening. It's called like you can talk, basically. Open your mouth, you can talk. Money, like you gotta put money down just to be able to start talking and addressing this girl's family as a guy. And then there are all these other tokens that you put down. And then the biggest one, the two biggest ones, is the biggest part of the dowry is what the father wants for the bride price, really. And then the mother's honor. Those two are the biggest parts, and then everything else is smaller. And then they also do like a gift exchange, like groceries, or a coat, or like a coat, sorry, or a hat, or whatever little other accessories they want to do. Now, typically you will have conversations about what's going to happen during this negotiation, you start the negotiations before, because you literally have two people who are interested, right? The guy and the girl. And then you do all of that, and the dowry is done. Now, I will say the way that it's done is the guy side of the family puts money in a bowl or a plate, and then the girl side of the family picks it up or passes out the money. And there are moments when your aunts do it, your sisters do it, your brothers, like other family members, get to pick up money from your bowl as a girl. And really and you also get to pick money as a girl. Basically, there is something to be said about your family members who pick up. They are consenting to the marriage. Basically, it's almost like, who gives this girl away, who stands this girl's delegation, and then you say it's me and me and me and me and me and me. And so all these people are bearing witness to your marriage, and you are also consenting by agreeing to take the money out of the bowl, right? There's also the part where the guy, there's this cute little game where the guy is asked, okay, you are here to marry our daughter. Which daughter? And he says, oh, she's this beautiful girl, blah blah blah, and says all these flattering things. And then they say, okay, we're gonna bring out every one of our daughters, and you tell us when you've seen your daughter, when you've seen your wife. And all of them, all the sisters in the family come out, and then stuff. What's funny is I did a mock of this for my friend. Her tradition, she's Ugandan, but she did it for her wedding. She did the ceremony, and we did a mock version of it. It was so much fun. It's so traditional and fun and light and not that serious, unless you have kooky people who charge a lot of money, who try to enrich themselves off of your dowry. It's really not meant to, the spirit of things is meant to be good, but you know what it is? Whenever you give some boy a chance, they take a mile. Every single time, okay? Okay, so most of the times, other persons who get money from your Rora as a girl, they actually reinvest it back into you. They help you buy your first pots and pans, and just make sure that you have a good little bridal shower, basically, before you go and move into your new family's home. So and then the next step is you pack up your things, you go with your cousins, your aunts, and you go and you meet your spouse's family. I'm sorry, guys. You go and meet your spouse's family. You go to the guy side of the family, and so you're being introduced. And there it's kind of funny because you're still kind of demanding money. Again, everybody's pouring into you because the idea is that you're starting a new household, so you're gonna need financial support. So even though there's all this charging and there's this money that exchanges hands up there, down here you're also it's just for fun. So when you're walking up to somebody's house and all that stuff, when you're walking up to the place, you walk, you say, oh, I'm so tired, I need help walking, and then they give you like $5, and then you walk, and then they give you 20, just depending on how they are. And it's just meant to be a little cute, little role play, little fun, celebratory thing. And then you're welcomed into your new home as a bride, and they're singing and dancing. I remember when my aunt was welcomed, she was covered in she was veiled in our traditional wrappers, and she was walking slowly, and someone was guiding her, and then she sat on a mat, and people were singing and dancing, and it was so much fun. Such a good memory. And then you do chores, okay? You basically meet everybody, but you introduce yourself by helping them washing their hands. So some places don't have running water, but anyway, let me just explain. You bring over a dish so that people can wash their hands, pour water and wash their hands. You talk to everybody, so you wake up early, you warm up water, you help everybody wash their hands, you cook, get dish and everything. So basically you're coming in and saying, yo, I am your wife, I'm going to serve this family and love you guys and love on you and everything. And you get to meet everybody, and then you meet your sisters-in-law and you meet everybody. It's just a joyous occasion, but it is physically taxing on the woman. Like, you bring labor and you bring your peers with the, your support system with you. So you cook a lot of food and you basically cater a party. Yeah, that's the traditional stuff. And in some cultures, you'll even stay behind after everybody's gone and spend some time with your mother-in-law for a few weeks, just to kind of get introduced to the new family and the way that they do their things and the dynamics and everything. It's up to you, it's up to that family. All that jazz. Not my thing. I would, yeah, I could do it for a short period of time, but not like months on end like some women do. Okay, so then you do all that. Obviously I didn't do very traditional wedding because I'm not at home and it just didn't make sense. But we did the bits and pieces that however, we incorporated it as much as we could, but I didn't do all of that when I got married. Anyway, so the story I have about the swindlers, right? I have explained, right? You need paternal family, maternal family, and everything, right? So this guy comes up and says, this is my story. I spent $3,500 marrying this wife of mine, and I have yet to live with or be with my wife. The whole court is like, what? By the way, this is a chief's court, so think of it as like a traditional court and not like a modern civil court. Anyway, he walks up and says, I spent all this and I have not gotten my wife. And it was like, what's going on? And so immediately I start thinking, scam alert. Okay, and so he starts telling his story. He says, you know what, I met this girl, I fell in love, I'm a Christian kind of guy, so I did not have any sexual relationship with this lady because per my faith I was gonna wait until marriage. And so I came and we did all the traditional stuff. I bought, clothing for like everybody to wear something similar for the celebration, decor, pictures. Like, I paid for everything, and I went into their home and I married my wife. Her biological father is out of the country according to the family, but I met the mom. I've met all these people before, and her cousin, her uncle, her brother, her uncle, and her mother accepted my dowry, and they accepted me as a son-in-law. But then I never got my wife, which by the way is very strange, right? And so the court's like, okay, so what happened? And he's like, well, when I got there initially, when we were talking with me and my wife, she had made it seem like when I go and I do my traditional marriage, we're gonna leave together and start our honeymoon immediately. But when I got there and we did the whole process, her father said, her uncle father said, she's got a few things she needs to sort out here, so is it okay if she comes out in about a week from now? And I agreed, and I said it was okay. And so I left. Then a week later, she did not come on Saturday, so I rocked up their place on Sunday, and they kicked me out of the house. And when I tried to talk with her, she was possessed. Basically, she acted possessed and said in a very strange sounding way that, who are you? This is my wife. Why are you trying to take my wife? So basically she made it seem like she was possessed by a spirit that was already counting her as their wife, so she could not get married, right? Guys, I don't know if it's real or it's fake. And the guy was like, I'm a prayerful guy, so I started saying, I didn't denounce you, Holy Ghost fire, and saying all these prayers and trying to cast out the evil spirit in her and everything. But he was like, she was so strong that day. She wrangled me and like wrangled my arm, like so super strength and everything. Okay, so the guy left, and then he tried to talk with this girl on the phone. He was like, I don't care about the whole spirit possession. I was willing to take my wife, but I've been treated nasty since. When I tried to talk to the girl after the fact of the incidents, her mom took the phone, cussed me out, and said I'm very rude and disrespectful, and hung up on me and blocked me. He said, so I basically lost access to this lady, and honestly, I'm just here to get damages. Like, I'm here to get all my money back that I spent in this whole process, because I feel like I'm being scammed. And because he was like, the girl doesn't even talk to me, she doesn't want me anymore, so I don't know, I feel like I'm being scammed. Okay, so then the court said, okay, we've heard your story. So basically he was seeking an annulment, and then an annulment of the marriage, and compensation for everything that he spent. He wants his money back. But he said at the time when he tried to insist that, he's here to get his wife and he wants to marry her and settle down with her and everything, he said the brother, the cousin, or the brother, the uncle and the brother said, no, we can give you a divorce decree, but we are not going to reimburse you on anything. And the traditional way to divorce someone is to give them just a small token to say, I don't want you. So verbally say you don't want them, and then give them like $1 or something, a small token to say, to express that, and then split assets and move on. So that's the traditional divorce. The traditional divorce is very simple, yeah. Very dismissive, guys. But yeah. So when the guy heard that, he was like, nah, y'all need to give me money. So he went to the court. So then the girl's family came to the front and they started trying to justify. So they're like, what is the issue here? Why can't this lady go be with her husband? And he starts saying, she was sick and he wasn't understanding and everything. And then the court's like, yeah, but the dates kept on being changed. You said 1 week, then you said 2 weeks, then you said 3 weeks, and all that stuff. And they're like, is it because of this spiritual issue that you've known about and everything? He was like, we're trying to address it. And he was like, nah. But here's the thing, if you've known that she is some sort of medium or she has some other spiritual obligations, why didn't you say to the husband? And they were just they were so weird. And then the judge asks, who are you? And he says, I'm the cousin. He's like, you're the cousin, you're not the brother. Yeah, I'm the cousin. So why are you here? Where's this girl's father? Where's the money? See, the money's there. It's meant for the father. Like, it was just all like they were not answering the questions straight. They didn't have their story straight. They thought that they could come to the court and say he was so terrible, and so our daughter changed her mind, and so we should not be held liable. And then the girl tried to come up and speak as well, and she was like, he understood. He said he knew I was sick and everything. And then like they asked what was she sick with, and they were like period pain. And he was like, now come on, what can a wife be sick with, a fiance be ill with, that a husband cannot handle? Honestly, the whole she was too sick to go didn't make sense to me. Like, I get it that there's physical labor involved when you go to your in-laws house, but if you're genuinely sick but you still want your man, you pack your bags, you go, you take your family members with you, they do all the physical labor, you're just sitting there in the corner. Everybody understands, like, some people do not have the best health but they fall in love. So what? It was just like such a cheap excuse to me when I was listening to the story. And the thing that really raised my antennas was, she said we couldn't go on the date that he had agreed we should go because he did not send us more money. I'm like, if someone just gifted you $500 to show good faith that they want you and they want to they're marrying you. Why do they need to give you more money for you to show up at their place? Like, where's your good faith in spending a little bit of money to go to him? And then secondly, they were also the family delegation was seeming further and further and further from being real people. Like, the only true person in the dynamic was the mom. All the other characters were distant cousins, aka sounding like paid actors. And that's something that people do sometimes, where like it's the engagement marriage scam, where people will, where there's this girl, I remember there's a movie that was like this, where the girl would marry rich guys, and then but like this, it wasn't even the marry rich guys, it was the get engaged to rich guys, and then have such a displeasing dynamic that the guy would just say it's okay, bye, and just leave them with stuff, right? Kind of like a scam, a con. And it felt exactly the same way, in that like this girl sounds like she was targeting religious guys, prayerful church guys, who would want to wait before marriage to, do anything, so she's not giving anything up physically or sexually, and then she would do this whole spirit possessed thing to make them less interested in her. Because honestly, most people, if they hear that their fiance or their new wife is possessed by some spirit, they are gonna run away. They're just gonna be like, I don't want to deal with that, and kind of let it go. This guy who pushed back, he was a real G for pushing back. So I think it was a con. And then suddenly the person who was supposedly her brother's dad's brother is now a cousin. The person who was supposedly her brother is now a cousin on the maternal side of the family. Like, just wrong. The witnesses were not strong witnesses. It's like picking somebody off the street and saying, let them be the witness to my marriage. You have no one to hold accountable, or no one to bear witness to your marriage, literally. Like, no one can say, yeah, we married these people, they're all good to go. And so basically to put it in like regular English, the conversation was, is this a divorce or it's an annulment? A divorce would allow the family to go scot-free in terms of financial obligation. A divorce would allow both to go scot-free without any financial obligation, whereas an annulment meant they needed to return all the money that this guy spent. Now the court ruled in the guy's favor and said, no, this is a scam. I don't know what's going on with you guys, but what you're saying is not making sense. This is very scam-like. Go ahead and pay this gentleman back his money. What you're going to do is you're going to pay the money, bring the money here to this court. And that's something that is very specific, and I like that about the Zimbabwean civil court system, is that if they put in a judgment, the person is bound by the judgment to the court. Most of the times you don't directly pay to the person, so you pay it to the court, and then the court hands it over to the person who was aggrieved. So in this case, they said, okay, here's what you're gonna do. All the little other monies that you spent end of month, bring them in, and then the main big cash pieces that you said you still had in hand and you were keeping for this lady's father, bring them, and we'll go from there and we'll hand them over to this gentleman who you were trying to scam out of a situation. Now, could these people go on the run or evade this? Yes, they can, but like rural villages and small, I'm not even gonna say whatever it is, like, it's really, really hard to run away from the law sometimes. It kind of chases you, especially in certain types of communities, very communal, so catches up to you. But I generally love listening to those civil court cases, because they bring out, usually there's a mix of like tradition, religion, spirituality, African spirituality, and general day-to-day stuff. So that is the story of scam